Let me take you back to 1968. Enoch Powell. He was not a rabble-rouser. He was a professor of Greek at 33, a brigadier at 30, a man who read the classics in the original. He's a man who loved England with an intensity that bordered on the devotional. In April 1968 in Birmingham, he gave a speech. He talked about immigration, about demographic change, about the failure of the political class to engage with something the public could see happening in their own streets. He quoted a constituent, a working man who told him he feared becoming a stranger in his own country. The speech is called Rivers of Blood, though he never used those words. What he actually said was, "As I look ahead, I am filled with foreboding. Like the Roman, I seem to see the Tiber foaming with much blood." Virgil, he was quoting Virgil, a classical allusion from a professor of Greek. He was sacked from the shadow cabinet by Ted Heath the following morning. Not answered, not debated, not engaged with. Sacked. And in that sacking, a template was established. The template is this. When an Englishman speaks plainly about England, when he says the thing that people say in kitchens and pubs and on the doorsteps, you do not engage with what he said. You do not answer the argument. You describe who he is. You put him in a category, and you make the category itself the argument. The category does the work, so you don't have to engage with the substance. I'm not here to adjudicate Powell's argument. 50 years later, that argument still generates more heat than light. I'm here to note the method, because the same method, the same template, the same language is being run on Rupert Lowe right now, this week. You can watch it happening in real time. And 80,000 people looked at it and said, "We've seen this before. We know what it is. We don't care." That's new. That's not the England of the last 30 to 50 years. An England that would absorb the label, accept the category, and step back from the argument. This is something older. Something that has been here a long time, and it's done being patient. To understand what's happening now, you have to understand what England is. Not what the curriculum says it is, not what the columnists say it is, what it actually is. Start here. 1215, a field in Runnymede, Surrey. A king called John, not a good king, not a popular king, is surrounded by barons who have had enough. And they do something that has never been done in the history of the world. They make the king sign a piece of paper. The Magna Carta, the Great Charter. It says, you are not above the law. No one is above the law, not the king, not the court, not the powerful. Power must be constrained, and if you try to unconstrain it, we will resist. Think about what a radical idea that was in 1215. Most of the world was operating on the principle that kings were divine. Power flowed downward from God through the sovereign, and the people received what they were given. And in a field in Surrey, England said no. That was not the end of it. That was just the beginning. 1628, the Petition of Right. Parliament confronts Charles I. No taxation without consent. No arbitrary imprisonment. No martial law in peacetime. 1679, the Habeas Corpus Act, one of the most important legal documents in the history of human freedom. The state cannot hold you without charge, cannot make you disappear, cannot detain you in secret without recourse to a court. 1689, the Bill of Rights. Parliament is supreme over the crown. Freedom of speech in Parliament. No standing army without Parliament's consent. Free elections, the foundation of every liberal democracy that followed. This is the architecture of freedom, built in England, refined over 5 centuries, tested against kings who didn't like it, against parliaments that abused it, survived, and then exported. 49 countries that were part of the British Empire kept this legal infrastructure after independence, not because it was forced on them, because it was the best architecture of freedom the world had yet produced, and they knew it. And then there's the science. If the common law is the architecture of freedom, then what Isaac Newton built is the architecture of the universe. A farmer's son, born in Woolsthorpe, Lincolnshire, Cambridge, 1666, the plague year. The university closed, students sent home, Newton went back to the farm. And in 18 months, working alone with no grant application, no peer review, he worked out the laws of motion, universal gravitation, and invented calculus. Because he needed it, because the mathematics to describe what he was seeing didn't yet exist. So he built it. Einstein said the Principia Mathematica was the greatest intellectual achievement of any single individual in the history of science. A man from Lincolnshire in a farmhouse during a plague. Reminds me of lockdown during COVID. And between the law and science, Shakespeare. One man, 37 plays, more insight into the human condition than most philosophical traditions have managed in centuries. Still performed on every inhabited continent, still teaching people what it means to be human in Nairobi, in Tokyo, in Sao Paulo. A glover's son from Warwickshire. The law gave the world freedom, Newton gave the world the universe, and Shakespeare gave the world its imagination. 3 pillars, 1 island.